Warning, spoilies ahead.
We got big boy voice, big boy poops in our pants. Throw those out, buy new ones, like a big boy.
And start a podcast.
Yep.
That's the origin story of Two Guys, One Film. When we make the movie, that's what that's going to be.
This is Two Guys, One Film. 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 I'm Dylan. And I'm Dane.
Hi, welcome to Two Guys, One Film. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Dane. And this week, we watched Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
Skit, scat, scare it. I want Pat Garrett. I need Pat Garrett. I love Pat Garrett. That's the whole thing I listened to the whole time.
The whole thing.
I want Pat Garrett. Don't want Brad Garrett.
Anyway, this movie came out in 1973. And okay, in quotations it says New York, so I don't know if this was just in New York and on the 23rd of May in 1973. It only came out in New York.
I feel like maybe later. I don't know. Hey, New York.
Director Sam Peckinpah. Yeah, and there you go. I guess. Do you want cinematography?
Yeah.
There was. I will admit there were some kind of cool shots in this.
It's got really cool shit. It's got Western vibes to it for being made in like
Yeah.
the 70s and stuff like that. But synopsis, it's Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
And Pat Garrett's hunting him down.
Yep. They used to be on a team, and Pat Garrett decides, "Hey, I'm gonna be sheriff." And
Well,
I mean,
it's like
is
the
this
government hires him, so it's almost
Yeah.
like a Red Dead situation, where it's like government hires him to get Billy the Kid out, but he's just like, "Hey, we'll make you sheriff if you do that." You know, like all debts wiped, whatever. Like you're no longer a bad guy. So he's like, "Hey, whatever. I'm old. Fucking let's do it."
Yeah. He's like, I want to be rich and old and rich and just be
I'm
that.
tired.
And
I will say though, this had a very fucking cool intro to the movie. Like beginning of the movie was just like,
yeah, I was confused
yeah,
at first because I was like, what is going on?
it was like 1903 or whatever it said. Like later on,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like different tone of film,
Yeah.
and then it shows like Pat Garrett with another guy. They were talking about something I wasn't really paying attention because I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Who I care?
Yeah.
And he gets shot down, betrayed. And what I thought was cool was like the parallel of what was going on, the future part to what like the present of the movie is like Chris Christopherson is Billy the Kid, and they're just like shooting chickens that are buried in the ground.
Yeah, like I
And
guess
I loved
target
every
practice?
time they would shoot, it would cut to that flash forward of like Pat Garrett getting shot.
Yeah.
And like that back and forth was like, that was fucking cool. I was
It
like,
was.
all right, that's a cool way to fucking intro the movie.
Yeah, when I my brain clicked as to what was going on, I was like, oh, this is cool. I like how it's like black and white. It was like, well, it wasn't like black and
It's
white.
like a reddish, brownish
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Yeah, it was like something to convey that it's not the same time, but I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's pretty neat.
I'm like, that's cool.
I like that. It was very stylized. It did have like I mean, it is a Western, so it had a good Western vibe to it. And then I looked it up because I was like, did they really shoot chickens? Yes, they did. They shot chickens.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling they did.
Because
And I'm like, but this was
a little too
1970s.
real. Like, to be like,
yeah, I was
"Whoa."
like, oh, yeah. When the head exploded on that one, I was like, oh, yeah, that was a real chicken. Oh, like, well,
thanks.
73. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't excuse. It sucks, but whatever. I mean,
But yeah. It looked real because it was real.
It was
It's
real.
kind of like, it reminded me, remember Robo Vampire when that lady was like cutting open that like
yeah,
cow and they were like shoving drugs into it or something? We never really decided what's going on because they never conveyed it, and we're just like, oh, that was a real animal. Oh, and they're like sewing it up. We're just like, yep, that was definitely real,
Yeah.
because you're just like, there's
because
no way to
I
make-
mean, like, I can remember a few movies from the 70s that I've seen that obviously had, and it's weird. It's always chickens.
They're like, there's an abundance of them. Who cares? Maybe they fed the
Yes.
town with them afterwards. I don't know. Maybe all
Well,
the that's when
the-
the kids run up. You know, they take them. That's like the
Well,
kids in the town.
that's
like,
kind of
"Hey,
what
have
I that's kind of what I assumed is they were just gonna eat them.
'em." Mhm.
Like, well, now they got dinner. They don't need the head anyway, so.
And it was, I get it. It's part of the movie. Whatever.
But also, it's supposed to be like way back in the 1800s.
I think so. Back in the day,
Yeah.
baby, you weren't there. But yeah, then we're introduced to Billy the Kid and his gang, his ragtag gang of dudes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think Pat Garrett comes into town. Sorry, folks, if I don't remember all of this movie. I did watch it too long ago to when we recorded. You don't need to know that, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to remember parts of it. But
That's
I just
okay.
told you. But like
So,
Pat
yeah.
Garrett shows up, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be hunting you down or whatever." And he's
But I'm
just
giving
like,
you, like, I'm in a few days, I'm going to be like,
Yeah, I like that. He's like, "I'll give you some time. I don't know. I'm just giving you a warning. You can try to run, whatever you want to do, but if you're not out of town, I'm gonna get you."
I think at this point, everyone's kind of telling him to go to Mexico. They're like,
Yeah.
Mexico.
And even Pat was telling him because like they're buddies, and he's like, if you get to Mexico,
Yep.
I can't do
And
nothing,
he's basically like, and if you don't, I'm just going to gun you down because I'm old and I want to be rich and I don't want to deal with this shit anymore, basically.
Yeah, I'm getting hired. This is a job. But there's one part I don't know why I wrote this note down. It just made me laugh. Like in the background, like they have all those like dried chilies hung up. Like restaurants always have them. Like, do they actually use those?
You
Like, in
can.
that time, did they just like pop those off
I-
and cook them? Like I always
See-
just thought it was
see, like,
decoration.
I think you can. I think now mostly you'd use it for decoration, but I think back then, I mean, because if you take them off and you
Yeah.
throw it in like one of those little like stone
Little
grinder
mortar and
things, then
pestle
you can
things,
make
yeah.
like a nice seasoning out of it.
Okay, that's purposeful, not just like
Yeah.
white people going, look, it's Tex-Mex. Now the country buffet looks like it's got Tex-Mex in it. Ooh, the Cracker Barrel's got a little bit of Tex-Mex going on in it.
The intro music when everything was going on was very like happy. Like,
Yeah.
like
That's what the one weird thing about this movie is that like it's folk music because it's Bob Dylan,
yeah.
and so like that was something that was different. Like at times it worked, and times I'm like, but it was a cool different thing to have like folk music for a western.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Billy, they're gonna run
It was
you
great.
down.
It was great because he's basically just like singing the plot of the movie.
Yeah. It's like, hey, Bob, do you have any other songs? Nah, just just show me what's going on screen. I'll make a song about it.
And we haven't met.
Billy's gonna take a shit, but he's not. He's pulled a gun underneath the thing. Let that squirrel loose, Billy. It's exactly how it sounds.
Oh, what's he doing now? I
Wait a
can't
second,
see him
he's
from
not in
behind
this
me.
scene. Let's wait till he's in the shot. Oh, there he is. Nope, never mind. That
Right
was
now,
Billy.
it's Pat Garrett. Pat Garrett's got his number.
Oh yeah, that's your number, Billy. I don't know why I just turned into
Randy Newman.
Randy Newman. Yeah,
Gary.
hey, Billy. Yeah, Gary Newman's a different one. I turned into the bad Newman. Hey, Billy, gonna run you down, yeah.
But it oddly worked.
Yeah,
You know?
it's weird. Yeah, I mean, it's the vibe of the movie. It was a different kind of western. It was like a slower kind of western.
It was
But-
slower, but it like wasn't because there's a lot
Yeah.
of like
Violent
It was
fucking
a
scenes.
very violent movie.
very visceral violence, and like
It was cool though
so.
because it's not long after that.
No, like he gives him time to try to run, and he doesn't, because like all of his buddies are like, "We should go," and he's like, "Fuck that!
Fuck that! I'm staying here because
I'm
a-
Chris Christophers, and I'm staying." And and so then it like flashes forward a bit, and they're like in this house, and Pat Garrett's got him surrounded by a bunch of like lawmen, and they just start like lighting that dude up the instant he comes out. He's like, "I'm gonna get the horses!" Like, It's not even like, let's go try to take them in alive. He's
But
just like,
it's
I'll
not-
get the horses. And it's like the nerdy guy, of course.
It seems like it's gonna be unfair, but then they're just like shooting each other's like just bad. Like people are on both sides are going down.
And that's what was cool. Like, it wasn't like... A lot of people died that I didn't think were gonna die in this movie. Like, like, bad guys and good guys, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's what was, like, cool about it was, like, oh, yeah, the other side's getting their guys shot, too, by just these two dudes, because the third guy's like, oh, I'm shot, Millie, oh, my time's up.
Oh boy, I'm gonna die up against it. Like, let's play cards while you're bleeding out.
Yeah.
That was cool, actually.
There's some good lines, too. Like, I also do love that it's, like, that 70s bright red blood.
Yeah.
That's just, like, painted on there. And, like, when it comes out, it's, like, bright red because it shows better on camera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just a cooler style. It's just a cool style. I don't know how
I guess it was before everybody was like, oh, we got to make everything super realistic.
Yeah, it's got to be dark and bloody. And it's like, I like it when it's, like, animated. And
Yeah.
But there's, like, that part where it's that shootout. And they stop for a bit. And Pat's like, you coming out, man? And Billy's like, I'll warm your breakfast for you. And then they start shooting back at him. He's like, I guess he ate. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, guess he ate. And that dude that was like Dianel Slow, he was everybody takes their deaths in this movie pretty casually and
seriously,
lighthearted,
like,
and they're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Because he's
boy,
like,
I'm
I'm
gonna
done.
die. That's
Well,
it. Guess I had a good run, basically. Yeah, everybody just...
Yeah. It was fun working with you, Billy. I guess I'll go out first and try to distract them.
Yeah, let me just run out there. Pah! Right, like, as soon as he steps in.
Nothing. He's like, all right, I'll go out there and you guys run away. And they, like, barely got out the door and then he got lit
Light
up
him
again.
up.
Yeah. Just that one guy again. He's still up. So then they...
Well, he gets captured. He ends up coming out. He's like,
Yeah.
"Are you come out?" He's like, "Fine, all right."
And there was a very poetic, metaphorical shot where Billy's got his arms out, and he kind of looks like he's Jesus on a cross, like he's crucified, like he's
I know,
done.
but who has ever used that in a movie before?
No one.
Well, this might have been one of the earlier ones.
You never know. Somebody saw it, and they're like, ooh, Christ on the cross. Chris Christopherson is Christ Christopherson. Director's writing that down.
Yeah. I guess it was a typewriter back then.
Christ Christopherson. Get it? Get it?
No, I don't.
And then, so he got captured. He's in the town, and it's like, so, once again, so relaxed, so chill about, like, playing cards. He's just fucking chained to the...
I wondered that, like, okay, so Pat Garrett was a real person, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And Billy, well, obviously Billy Kid. So I wonder how much they romanticize, like, all of it. Because I know, like, it happened a lot with, like, Westerns. I'm now, like, after watching this, though, I got really curious about, like, the reality of it. Yeah. And, like,
I think
Pat
the hard
Garrett
part
and
about
shit.
Billy the Kid and Pat Garrett's, like, a lot of it's not, like, well documented and, like, actual, like, what actually happened kind of a thing. Like, there's, like, accounts of saying, oh, I saw this happen, or I saw this happen. I mean, there's only, like, 1 or 2 pictures of Billy the Kid in existence, so...
Yeah.
But I liked this because, like, everybody knew Billy, and they were, like, cool to him, except for that one weird, dumb religious guy. Like, it's gonna come down on you, the Lord. And then, like, even the guy he's playing with, he's like, I don't know, fuck this guy. Like, and he's, like, a sheriff, too. Like,
I know, he's like, you shut the hell up, man.
Yeah.
Chill out.
And so, like, Pat's like, I'm gonna leave for a few days. Because, I got stuff to do.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
a
be
sheriff.
back.
I'm busy.
And he leaves, and then Billy decides to go take a poo-poo in the outhouse. So the one guy takes him out there, his I guess, used to be buddy. They know each other. I don't know. I think they ran together. And he's out there, and he, like, lifts up the newspaper, and there's a gun in there.
Yeah.
They never explain who put the gun.
I know. I was like,
matter. One of the gang members, they're like, man, he just found a gun.
I'm like, was it the gang members or like? Because I don't know. That part was.
What if it was Pat?
I guess it could have been.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I liked that part because I was
Yeah.
it was unexpected for me. I didn't really think that was gonna happen.
It looked unexpected for Billy too. He's
Yeah,
like, oh,
so
shit, there's
that's
a gun under here. Like,
yeah.
oh.
So that's why I was just kind of like, whoa, was that? Maybe it was like accident. That's even
Yeah.
like cooler.
Somebody was
you know?
just taking a shit. They forgot their gun in there, and they're like, they got back to their house like, where's my gun? It's kind of like when you're looking for your keys. Like, where the fuck
Or
did I
you
put
know,
those?
it's like your nowadays phone. Oh shit!
Yeah.
I left my phone in the
I
bathroom.
left
Of
my-
course, someone's gonna fucking take it.
Yeah, it's a fucking free phone. It's a free gun.
Yeah, free gun. That shit's expensive back then.
I wonder if I don't think he got to poop though, because he's probably like, oh, now I got an escape, I'll hold it in, because it didn't look like he got to finish.
I think I would have held it into it. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna
Ooh,
have.
I
much
got
time.
different priorities right there. I'll poop later.
Yeah.
This is an urgency. The poop was just like, hey, I need to go, but now it's just I have to go out of this place. Oh, and that was great too. There was like he's walking back inside, because he has that one guy hostage now, the deputy, and there's like those kids playing on the noose. They're just like swinging on it.
Oh, yeah.
It warms my heart to see kids playing on a noose. You know.
Oh yeah, that weird religious guy.
Yeah, and he's just like looking at these kids like swinging on the noose, all fun. But he is going up the stairs with the guy, and he's like, "Don't run. I don't want to shoot you in the back. Please don't run." And he's like giving this guy like a chance, like, "Don't. I don't want to." And the guy's like, "I'm gonna do it anyway."
Yeah,
and
he's
he
like,
goes
well,
to do
then
it,
I'm
and he
gonna
gets
shoot
shot,
you in the
and,
back.
flies out the fucking window. Then he runs upstairs and gets the shotgun because the one dude earlier, the religious guy, is like, I got a bunch of dimes or something in this fucking shotgun to, whatever. He's like, I'll blow your head off or whatever that threatens earlier.
Yeah.
And Billy goes out there, fucking lights the dude up with that. The guy just gets fucking annihilated
few
with
times,
dimes.
doesn't
It's like the one dude, the religious guy, like
Yeah.
just full of dimes. And I love that he's like, keep the change. And I was like, oh,
It's like,
man,
fuck
that's
yeah.
good. Yeah, those dimes fucked that dude up, man. He was just like, oh, dude.
I think at that point I'm like, oh shit, that's what. Wow, that's what he was gonna do to my face.
Oh.
Fuck that guy.
But then he yells at that like one of the guys in the town. He's like, "Go get me an axe." He's like, "Dude, I saw keys hanging up earlier. You don't need an axe."
just go get the keys.
And so then he does the thing where he like sits on top of that like filing cabinet thing, then hits it with the axe. And I was like,
Yeah.
why don't you just like sit on the ground and be like, "All right, dude, let me spread my legs to do it." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Nope."
It's easier if you climb up on something with your legs tethered together.
And then it was bothering me how long he was taking his sweet ass time leaving.
Right?
But then part of me was like, well, there's no way they can like just call the sheriff. There's no fucking phone. So
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like, I'm just gonna take my sweet time. These are the only two dudes in town with guns. Nobody else wants to fuck with me. And he's just singing a
'cause-
song out the
'cause
window while he's getting
Everybody
ready.
is just like looking at him like, oh fuck.
That's Billy. Like,
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of people
Billy-
liked
Billy
him
the
too.
Kid.
Like there was
Yeah.
the dude that like brought him the horse. There was the guy that like helped him with the axe, and they gave him the fucking meanest horse or whatever.
Yeah, and then then he got that other guy's horse.
Yeah, like kicked him off. Like part of me was like, did that mean to happen when he like falls off the horse? But then he like steals the other guy. So I was like, yeah. Probably. That's when we're also introduced to Bob Dylan, alias as we later call him. He works in the town as something. I don't know. He had an apron. He's just like, I like the cut of this guy's jib. All right.
Oh right, I'm really into Billy the Kid.
Hey, I'm gonna follow this kid where he goes. And he gets the Tom Petty top hat later.
Yeah.
Or maybe Tom Petty got the top hat from Bob after this movie. He's like, hey, I like that hat. Hey, you can have my hat. Hey, thanks for the hat, man. That's how they talk, right?
Like a lot of people in the 70s talked like that.
Yeah, they just kind of whatever. So Billy leaves, takes a sweet ass time. Everyone's like, hey, bye bye, whatever. Body's still in the fucking road, whatever.
Is this when fucking a few, like, what's his name? Bob Dylan
So
follows
Pat-
him, alias?
I think he doesn't follow him yet. Because I think
I thought he did,
leaves
because I
town.
thought he
No,
went
yeah.
back to his, like, hideout thing, and the guys were like,
Yeah.
"What's
Because
he
when
doing?"
Billy leaves, he like takes his apron off, and you're like, oh, what's he doing? Is he mad? And you find out. But now we see that Pat Garrett went to the guy that hired the guy that he's the second in command or whatever. I forgot his name. Boss Hog, whatever his name is. He's down there.
Oh,
and
with
he's like,
with those other two like whiny dudes sitting
yeah,
with him.
these gentlemen here that are they're part of this whole thing.
They're investors basically, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and they're just sitting
It's
there
like,
like,
if you
we don't like
can
you,
you
print
get
Garrett.
Billy the Kid? He's like, oh, I can get him. He's like, well, we'll give you $1,000, 500 now, 500 later, and he's like, you can stick that 500 up your ass and burn it. And I was like, nice.
Like, damn, dude.
And he just went there just to hang out and then
I
come
guess
back
shoot
to
the
town.
shit with that one guy.
Comes back to town, finds this two dudes dead, and then he's like, I gotta go out again.
Yeah, and kill Billy.
Mm-hmm. So then Billy goes back to that town where his gang's held up. And this is part that was weird to me. Billy shows up, and we got Harry Dean Stanton
Oh yeah,
in bed with that girl.
Yeah,
And he's like, I'm sorry that you had to spend time with this dude, and just like stares at him, and then he's like, gets out of bed.
Yeah,
and
and he's like-
meanwhile, he's just getting naked in front of all the dudes in the
He's
fucking
like-
place, and he's like, all right.
yeah. I'm getting with you. Oh baby, I missed it. Like
Oh,
wow,
yeah,
dude.
I'm gonna bang you right in front of the guy I just kicked you out of bed with, and he's just gonna sit there and be all,
All sad about it. That was a strange.
yeah. And it's like, man, you guys are a pretty tight gang if you're just cool with like, hey Billy, hang dong and just bang that lady. We're just sleeping over here.
Like where you're like, if you're Billy, you could be like, get the fuck out of this bed because
Oh, get out! And you're like, yes sir, yes sir.
yeah,
Everybody else is just like, nice.
yeah.
Billy, all right, nice, dude.
Boy, I wish I could have pizza.
He's all his bed all like covered up. All
Poor Harry Dean Stanton.
I know, right?
Fucking great actor, man. He's a great individual. Bob Dylan has shown up. He's like, what do we call it? He's like, alias. And so what's that? He's like, that's what she's calling me, alias. And he's got his little knives.
Mhm.
And then there's those three dudes that have also shown up.
Oh yeah.
And they're not like introducing who they are. And he's like, oh, that's weird. I think I know you guys. And he's just like casually eating his fucking thing, like telling
Yeah.
that story about like someone that, I don't know. And then they just fucking light those dudes up. And Bob Dylan, alias,
Oh yeah.
throws that knife, dude.
through that dude's neck.
I was like, oh shit.
All right, but I want to talk about something with this right now because spoilies, he doesn't fucking do it anymore.
No,
Ever
that's like the
again.
one kill that he does.
And it's so cool. Like
Yeah.
Bob Dylan has a fucking cool like
He
knife
could throw a
throwing
knife.
like through a dude's neck. Through. The end was sticking out of his neck. Only
And
does
it's
it
just
that
like-
one time.
Pulls it out, wipes off, and then he never does anything cool again.
I was so hoping he was gonna be like throwing like two and like get some dudes in the chest or something, but
Blocking
never.
bullets with it. Ping, ping, you know.
I will say that probably is my biggest gripe about this movie.
I have a couple.
That's my biggest.
That's going to be one of them now. Was the you had that great
It's a
moment with
cool
that character
setup.
and that badass setup, and then you just
Yeah.
didn't use it. And he's in the movie. He's in the rest of the
Yeah.
movie. He doesn't die or anything, but he just doesn't do anything.
No, he
cool
shows
again.
his knife later on because there's
Yeah.
a part where all right, guys, drop your guns, and he's like,
He's
oh,
like, I don't have any.
and they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's gonna kill somebody with that knife. Nope.
Nope. So now Billy's like, hey, whatever, let's kick it. They're going to come after me. I don't give a shit. Maybe I should hide in Mexico. I don't know. Let's figure it out.
Get them senoritas
Uh,
to Mexico for the senoritas.
Senioritis.
What part was the? Okay, so there's that other guy with like that shitload of land that if you end up going through it, those weird like douchebag guys that like monitor it, like kill you and take your
they're
shit.
just like fucked up. So that's the guy who hired Pat Garrett to get Billy the Kid. I'm going to
But
call
you
him
don't-
Boss Hog.
Well, you don't meet him until like later because
Later
the guy,
on, yeah.
because the guy that he goes to see is like a middleman, I guess.
Yeah, the one guy that's like the
In
the army
New
outfit.
Mexico.
Yeah, he's like the middleman, but yeah, you meet Boss Hog, whatever, Boss Hog later on. I'm gonna call him Boss Hog. You meet him later on. He's got his like family cult that's going on. But this part is Pat goes to that one town and is trying to recruit that dude. And he's like, "Oh, I'll work for gold or whatever." And so he gives him some gold, and then that guy's like, I don't know if it's his wife or whatever. He's like, Mama, it's like she's like another sheriff of the town or whatever. They start loading up, you know.
Oh yeah.
And they're trying to find out. They're like, oh, I know where Pat's like, I know where a gang, like an ex-gang member might know where Billy's at.
Yeah.
And they like go to that place and then just like instant shootout. And it was cool. It's a fucking cool shootout.
Yeah.
But this actually is like a scene that actually like made me sad, which is weird. I think it was just the way it was shot, the music, and just the way this guy acted it. Like, it legit made me go, oh man, that's so sad. Because like that guy's like, I don't want to do it. I'm fucking done with that. I don't want to die, whatever. Yeah. And so he does it anyway.
Oh,
and he ends up getting shot in the gut.
Are you talking about the guy with like the weird eye?
No, that's later on. But this one is the old guy that they get, and they go to that little cabin, and he gets shot. And he gets shot in the gut, and then he just starts standing up and then walking away. And it's just that like fucking wide shot, and she's just sitting there watching him. He's just like walking towards like the
he goes down
stream,
by the water.
And I was just like, that scene fucking crushed me. I don't know why, because I was like, this guy's so cool, and just like, once again, everyone's okay with their death, but it's just like, I think just because it didn't cut, it was just that one shot, and you just see him get up and go. I was like, oh man. But Pat kills that guy, shoots him off the roof or whatever.
Yeah.
Or no, he like comes off the roof and then.
Oh, like when he drops down, yeah.
Yeah. And then the one lady like lights those dudes up too, Mama or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
That guy was like, I'm not gonna tell you where Billy's at, or I tell Will, blah blah blah, and then just Pat just like boom finishes him off.
Yep.
And then you go to that scene of that guy just like sitting there, and that lady's just watching him die, and he's just like sitting in front of the water, and it's like, this is fucking sad, dude. I feel so fucking bad at this guy.
I don't see anybody dying with that kind of dignity, including myself, ever.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, well, that's me. I've been done. Shot in the gut.
I'm going to go. Well, I would rather go down here and stare at the water than lay in this fucking house and bleed to death.
It just made me laugh. It was like, so Billy is with Alias and some other dude, and they're like on Boss Hogg's ranch land, or his big part of land. And he goes, look at them turkeys. And I thought it was going to cut to like a bunch of dudes, but it cuts to actual
literal
turkeys. I was like, oh, okay. They're just like, let's get them turkeys.
Let's get the turkeys.
Yeah.
But there's turkeys and like something else they're shooting at too, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like it just turns into like a weird free-for-all, like them chasing turkeys and shit.
Yeah, they were trying to hunt something else or whatever. And he's like, hey, check it out, turkeys. And they're like, Billy's shooting them turkeys with their friend. And then
when was the part where that like that Mexican guy is loading up his like cart?
So that's before. Okay, so I think Billy does decide to run to Mexico. He's like, hey guys, let's go. So like, Bob Dylan, I think, is going with them or whatever. Or does he come back and say he's going to go to Mexico? No, he's leaving with, I don't know why they're gone. But before they're leaving the town, that older guy with his like family is like, we're going to go to Mexico. And they're like, everyone's waving him by, and they're like buddies. They like hug, and he's like, if you were smart too, Billy, you'd fucking go.
Yeah.
He's like, I ain't going to go. He's like, no,
I'm good.
You should go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's later on. Because this is the part where like they're hunting the turkeys, and then Boss Hogg's guys find the third dude, and they like light him up, and they just like put him on his fucking horse for some reason. I mean, other than to make it a cool shot later on, but then like Billy and Bob Dylan go after him. There's that part where like Pat is sitting on the side of the river, and there's like that dude on that big raft with like those kids, and he's just like shooting at bottles in the water that the kids throwing.
Oh yeah, and then like Pat Garrett's just like sitting there like all casually just.
He like goes to
like,
shoot
oh,
it.
Dude.
And then that guy goes to shoot Pat. I'm like, you're the one that fucking started it, Pat. Fuck you, dude. But then he's just like, whatever.
I know. I'm like, is that? Holy
asshole.
shit, dude! You're a dickhead.
Yeah, because he was gonna shoot that dude in front of those kids. I'm like, that's like probably their dad, dude.
It's cool. I'm a sheriff. It's cool.
I can do what I want. Whatever. That one dude sent by Boss Hogg finds Pat. Remember, he's like
the
wienery guy?
The wienery guy, because he goes to he finds him, And he's like, "Oh, we're heading over to this one town, and it's gonna take like a few days or whatever." And he's like, "Well, I got told to come out here, and I'm gonna follow you there." And he's like, "Whatever."
whatever, and then he just like falls asleep, and he's just like,
Yeah.
And it's like that's when I think they go to Boss Hogg's place.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey guys, like we got dinner in there if you want it." And Pat's like, "Nope." And the other guy's like, "I'll take some dinner."
He's like, "Have fun," and he's like, "I'm out of here."
And then when he's like, when the guy's riding off, and I love that when he's like, "You gonna get him?" And then Pat just like turns around. It's like, is that a yes, or you're just gonna get him? And then now that Pat's leaving, the guy's like,
I guess I better go too. I don't get any food. Blah, blah, blah.
And then they end up in that other town
yeah. So he
where
sends,
Pat Garrett is also just a big dickhead again.
yeah. So he sends
I-
that one dude off on like a fucking wild goose chase. They're like, "Hey, go figure this out. I'm gonna go to this town, do some whatever, do some drinking." And there's
Just
that.
get really drunk and just like bang the prostitutes.
I think that was later on, but he does. I think he bangs one in that area. But then there's later on. There's that extremely long, dumb sex scene.
Yeah.
But this one, there's like that fat dude and his like guts hanging out because like the shirt's all like lifted up and everything, and he's supposed to be the like
The guy at the bar, like the
bartender dude,
bartender.
yeah.
Well, that's what I was talking. Like, isn't that the same place? Because
I think so. He's like, "Can I hook you?" No, later on, it's that dude that's like laying on the bar, and he's like, "Oh, that was." A
oh,
different
that's
place."
right. Okay,
Yeah.
so this guy reminded me of the guy from Napoleon Dynamite. The out there found some
Yeah.
Indian arrowheads. Like, because that's like what he talked, like how he sounded. Because like I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Nothing around here works smooth no more.
And he's like sitting there rambling on. Then he starts talking about like the prostitutes, and I was like, I don't
What?
what? And then Pat Garrett just proceeds to be an asshole to him, and like
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
they're-
also when we're introduced with the guy with the wonky eye,
oh yeah.
who,
Doesn't he deputize him though? And
Yeah,
he's a dick to him at first, and he's like, fine.
yeah. Because he's like, "I know what you're doing." He's like, "I want to help," or whatever. He's like, "I used to be a piece of shit too." And he's like, "Cool, you're a deputy. Go out here and find him." And he's like, "Okay, boss." And while
He gets-
Pat's sitting there drinking, Bob Dylan shows up with that other two dopes or the other dope or whatever. And like this scene was long, but I liked it the way it was like drawn out because it kind of like helped with the tension.
Mhm.
And he's like, "All right, guys, let's put your guns down." And like you said, Bob Dylan's like,
I ain't got no guns.
and then what I loved was like,
Oh, is this when he's like sitting there playing cards? He's like, let's play cards, and he's just like
Yeah.
drinking, and he just looks like he's fucking drunk and pissed off.
and I love when he's like making that dude drink more. He's
Yeah.
like, "Here, have more," and he's like out of the bottle, and he takes a sip. He's like, "Nope, you're
Go
not
ahead."
done yet."
He's like,
And then I like
I'm
when he has-
man, that's messed up.
he has Alias grab the shotgun from behind the bar, empties it, hits the other dude in the back of the head
Yeah,
with it
I
to
was
knock
like-
him out, brings the bartender over, puts the hat over him, and then he's like, "Go over there and read the cans." And so
Yeah.
for the rest of the scene, you hear Alias in the background: beans, corn, sweet corn, baked beans, and he's just like going off, and he's just
Yeah.
reading all the cans in the background, and it's
I loved it. It was
Yeah.
It was tense because like Pat Garrett in this scene was like just he was just very not sheriffy and just very drunk dick and like very abuse of power, and it was very it was tense, and like I think he knew that these guys like knew more than they were letting on, and
Yeah, I think also
because
part
of the
it
power.
too was just like the longer it went on, the more he realized what he is going to have to do, and that's kill Billy. And it's like hitting him harder each time. So I think that's why he's like drinking a bunch. Like he's just not caring. He's pissed off because he realizes it's gonna end one way, and he's like, "And I don't want to kill my
Well,
friend."
yeah,
but
because
I
he
fucking have
knows
to."
that Billy's not gonna fucking listen. I mean,
So, like,
he hasn't been doing it through the whole thing.
And it's like part of me is like, I bet Pat is just trying to take his time to give Billy an advantage, but he's just like, he's not fucking taking it. And so like now that he's with like Billy's guys, like, well, these dumb fucks, I might as well fuck with these guys.
Yeah.
Since I can't. He's like, I don't want to kill Billy, but I'm fucking pissed about it. So then yeah, they're talking, playing cards, making that guy just get fucking drunk, and then
Yeah.
meanwhile the whole like The bartender guy got his like hat pulled over his head.
But I agree with you on that one. I could see that he's very distraught over having to just like oust his friend basically because like you said he knows it's only gonna end one way because Billy's a turd.
Yeah, he's a bullheaded man, and he's like, I mean, that's why I liked him, but now I'm on the other side of it. So the one guy ends up getting up and trying to run or whatever, or try to get Pat, but Pat's too good, and he kills the guy. And I like how like Alias just stops and he puts his glasses back on and continues reading, and then Pat gets up and just leaves. And I like the guy was like, "Oh man, Pat, you made me have a bowel in my pants." It's so fucked up, man. Like,
I'm gonna start saying that when I gotta poop. Guys, I gotta go have a bowel.
I gotta go have a bowel. Oh, he made me have a bowel in my pants, Pat.
My pants, Pat.
Pat, my pants are full of bowel. Whoa, whoa. You know, the size of that guy's gut, there was probably a lot of bowel in there.
Copious amounts of bowel.
I mean, if he's just eating beans and corn and whatever's in those cans, that guy is full of bowel.
Packed to the brim.
Packed to the rafters of bowel. And you get a little scared that Pat Garrett's gonna kill you because, you know, like, oh, you did some semi-illegal things or whatever, or your gun, you're like, I wasn't gonna shoot nobody, and Pat's just like, I'm pissed off, I'm fucking with you, I'm not gonna kill you, I'm gonna fuck with you in front of these guys.
And well, I mean, and Pat's fucking scary too. Just like not long ago before he was sheriff, he's running around with fucking Billy the Kid.
Yeah, he was just like an
causing
outlaw
shit.
too. Yeah. And so like now that's a more terrifying thing if you're like on the other side of that, you're like, oh shit, Pat Garrett's got like the law behind him. Fuck.
Yeah, so
no.
basically he can do whatever he wants, which is a bummer being like
He
a
can
cop
kill
and
me.
shit. But I mean yeah. But it was the old West. I mean
And I think at one point, I don't know, I stopped taking notes for a while. But at one point Billy decides to run to Mexico. And his buddy's like, yeah, whatever, dude. And while he's
but he
gone,
doesn't because he
that's when he
comes
runs
across
into that guy.
Well, he comes across the guy that like had got his shit all wrecked by those douchebags.
Yeah, the older Mexican guy and his family that were leaving to Mexico, they were on Boss Hogg's land, and so his fucking goonies, like he was like tied up, and they're fucking whipping them, like their horses were dead, and like the baby's crying, his like wife's over there.
Yeah,
and
they're
so lucky that Billy showed up.
Yeah, and he just kills the shit out of him. I'm like,
Fucking
yeah,
kills
fuck you
those
guys.
dudes.
I was happy at that. I was like, yes.
And then this was another sad moment to me. Just like once again, it was a very beautiful way people take their deaths in this movie. The guy's on the ground, and he's like, I'm gonna be at my house. He's like, I'll have a porch with 3 chairs, you know, and then if anybody tries to do any shit, I'm gonna fucking light him up or whatever. And he's just like talking about this house and like, you know, Billy, you're gonna come to my house or whatever when I'm dead in this other area. It's like, it's so fucking sad.
I know.
And then Billy gets up, he's pissed. He comes back to his crew, he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
No,
We're
I ain't
gonna
going to
fucking take
Mexico.
this piece of shit down.
Yeah.
Which I was like, fuck yeah, dude. So yeah, he's pissed. He comes back. And then I think while he's coming back,
Is that when
was
Wyatt,
that before or after he meets the guy with the lazy? Oh no, that's when he's running.
Yeah.
So he runs into that house where he's like gonna pick up supplies. And who's eating with that family but the deputized guy with the wonky eyes?
And he's like, oh, hey, Billy, remember how we used to be pals? And he's like, oh.
And the people like that knew Billy too. They're like, hey, pull up and have a seat. And like that guy, you can tell that dude too, just like did not want to do what he had to do.
Yeah.
He's like, why did Billy have to walk in? He's like trying to eat his meal, and he's knowing like, all right, I'm gonna either have to take him in, I'm gonna have to shoot him. My head is I would have been like, oh, I didn't see Billy, or oh, he got away from me. Like, you didn't have to do this. But you know, then they're like, then that was another weird but cool scene. Was like the dad just talking about the door.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, the new door we put up, you know, blah blah blah. He's like, here, come help me take it down. And they're like taking the door down while like the deputy and Billy are in the street, and he's like, 10 paces.
Oh, and then he's
I
like,
noticed you haven't started counting. He's like, yeah, I know, getting to it. And like the guy's just like nervous.
yeah, it's also very obvious he doesn't want to do that.
because he knows
then-
like, hey, he's probably gonna die. You know?
But then, like at Butthole, he skips a number at the end and like turns around, tries to shoot him in the back.
But Billy was already turned around.
Yeah,
He didn't
he's
even
like,
like,
oh,
take any
dude.
steps.
And then
like,
he even says, he's like, oh, you forgot a number.
he's like, you didn't make it to 10. He's like, yeah, never was good at counting or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and you're like,
And then he
again,
took his steps really well,
another
too.
very, yeah.
And like, you know, Billy respect the guy, but it's like, I gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah, sorry,
Save
dude.
my life. So, but then yeah, I think that's before he saves the guy, or maybe during the same time. I don't know, but Billy makes his way back. I think Pat. This is when Pat goes to another town and the prostitutes. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see Billy's old prostitute girlfriend," and then she comes up. And he like hits her a few times, and she's like, "You gonna give up Billy?" She's like, I owe him at least one more, and then I'll tell you." And then I was like, "Really?" And he like hits her again. He's like, "Okay, I'll tell you where he's at." And then it's like, "All right, bring on more prostitutes." And here's a very long scene of women in a bathtub, and this guy is Pat
Yeah.
Garrett getting naked, and just like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
all right, all these ladies." And Bob fucking Dylan song playing or some shit. And it's like really happy music too. It was like such
I
a
know, it's a very
shoehorned scene that did not fit in this movie. I'm just like,
right.
what? He's
At
gonna
least-
be banging these ladies in a tub, and some of them have shirts and some of them don't. And Pat taking his shirt off, he's got too many buttons. Yeah,
Oh my god.
that scene like I could have gone without.
Yeah, it was. I was just like, what is going on here?
Like you didn't need to show the whole thing. Like you could have just shown the ladies show up and his shirt about to go off, and then cut it there. But like,
The part, like, I had to write this down because when they're pulling off his pants and he's like, "Oh, you got to pull hard. They've been on a long time," and I'm like, "Gross, fuck, dude, what the hell?"
at least they're getting the bath ready for him. You know?
I
It's
know.
like, you're gonna stink, dude.
Like, I feel
Those
bad for
things
the-
are pretty much welded to me now. It's hard to tell the difference between leg and pants at this point. They're so crusty. I've been on the ground. I've been in the water. I'm Pat fucking Garrett. You think I wash down there?
Fuck no. Well, I'm about to.
But that's because Pat Garrett's going to do his business. Like, it was just such an unnecessary scene. Like, it didn't need to keep going, because then it got to him, like, he's in the tub, and he's washing up, and he's just like,
And then there's that
and it
scene
just-
of him like just chilling in bed and like, you
all the
know,
ladies there, and like that one guy that was sent to spy on him basically shows up. He's like, "Hey, I know where Billy's at." And he's like, "Yeah, I know he's gonna be in this place." "How'd you find out?" I asked one of these girls. "Oh boy."
all right, get out.
Yeah, let me get dressed.
I'll be down in a while.
But like, to me, that happy-go-lucky scene just like kind of ruined. I don't want to say ruined, but it just did not fit the character of Pat Garrett. Like, I know this dude's like struggling with like having to go kill his friend and everything, but I don't feel like he's just gonna be like, "All right, time to be happy." Like,
Yeah, time to go bang a bunch of prostitutes. Like, it was a strange scene.
yeah. I mean, I know it was the 70s, so they're like, "All right, let's show as much boobs as we can, dude."
It's 1973. Boobs. He goes to I remember he goes back to his like hideout town thing because he wants to
Yeah.
meet up with his girl again.
Oh, that's
Before-
right. So that's where he's at, and that's where Pat Garrett's going to. It's like
Yeah.
some fort. It's like Fort
Yeah.
Sumner or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, so that's a beautiful, beautiful sex scene of just them like.
I know.
My favorite's the Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Just like Chris Christopherson, just Jesus. And like Pat Garrett shows up because they're like, "All right, we're gonna go in," because he recruits another guy, and he's like, "You have no fucking choice." Like that's pretty much all Pat does is like go find these dudes that like owe him stuff. It's like, you don't have a choice. Come fucking help me.
Yeah, you're helping me. No, I don't want to kill Billy. You're doing it anyway. If it comes
So they
down
show
to
up to the
that.
town, and they're like sneaking in, and that one wiener deputy like busts that door down, and it's like Harry Dean Stanton banging that girl or whatever. He's like, "Wrong room, man."
Hey, who
And
are
then-
you? What are you doing here? And then he kind of like follows him out there though.
Yeah, And
Which
then,
I thought was kind of cool because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's cool. He doesn't recognize him. He's like, who the fuck is this?
yeah, who the fuck are you, dude? And then Pat is going down like that like
He goes like kind of
porch
off.
area.
Yeah.
And he can hear Billy in there banging that lady.
Oh, Jesus.
So he just sits on that swing, and it's like, I'll just let him finish. I'm gonna be a cool guy. Let him finish. But like that also adds to the conflict though. Like at first I thought it was funny because he's like, I'm gonna let him finish, but then like Pat or Billy's done, and he's like, I'm gonna go get something from the fridge.
Yeah.
And like Pat just keeps sitting there because he knows like this is it. Like this is what's gonna happen. He's just like trying to put off the inevitable, and it was cool. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then the other two dudes are outside. And he's like, "Hey, that's Billy.
Yes, that's it right there. Look, there he is.
Pull your gun out and get him." And he's like, "Dude, he's like 5 feet away. Are you gonna shoot him?" And it's like,
Yeah, shoot him, get him. Like everybody freezes when they see him.
Yeah, I mean he's Billy the Kid. He's
Yeah.
a rep. But
It's
Pat
true.
goes on the other side of the house and he sees the girl in the room, and like when he walks by, like she looks and there's like nobody there, and then I think Pat knew the guy that owned the hotel. Because I think, or whatever, he had been in this place. I mean, he's been in the gang. Pat's sneaking through the house, and I think Billy recognizes those dudes and like shoots at them and then runs inside. And when he runs inside, he sees that one dude's sitting there, and then Pat's just like sitting in that chair.
Yeah.
He's like a fucking cool guy. I'm just like,
Fuck.
gotcha, bud. What did I
Like-
tell you?
Like I tried to tell you, and then I just sat here, and you still didn't run away.
Gave you ample opportunity, my guy. I've been taking my sweet fucking time. Like I probably could have found you like that. I'm taking my time. I banged a bunch of ladies. I shot some dudes for no reason. I made a guy read cans. And you're over here dilly-dallying, not making your way to Mexico.
Yeah, because I didn't want to kill my friend.
But then he does. Shoots him.
Yep.
And I really like that. It shoots him, and then he hits that mirror, and the mirror's all like shattered. Or no, like he sees himself in the mirror, and then he like shoots the mirror too. Like I was like, he doesn't like the man he's become. I like that. Jesus. And the crazy thing, the weird thing to me too was like, so he shoots Billy. Billy falls out of the door.
Yeah.
He's dead, and just like Billy's gang just come up and just stare. It was like, well, what do we do? What are we gonna do? Like
Well,
not
yeah,
a shootout or anything.
Because he's the leader. Like
He's dead.
It's crazy how much like everybody liked him so much.
Yeah, they would do anything for Billy.
Yeah.
I'll even get out of bed, Billy. You could get in my bed.
Yeah.
The girl I was just with. Billy.
You want to get with her? It's cool. Let me just here. It's all warmed up. Everything's
Gotcha.
warmed.
Can I get your shoes for you?
Yeah.
You want anything to drink?
Yeah.
Want some juice?
I was gonna run out and grab a Gatorade. You want one?
Yeah. You're gonna need it. It's been a while, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? I'll get you that and some peanuts.
Yeah. Well, protein.
Do you get the joke at home, folks? But so yeah, and then he just like walks off, and like that's cool. Like I liked that where like it shows Alias, and he's just sitting there watching Pat Garrett. Everybody walks up, and it's just like, oh, we're done. Okay. And then just walks off. And I like how it doesn't go back to the beginning of the movie to show you what happened to
The
Pat.
death scene. Yeah, because
just
you
was
already
like-
saw it. We already
You already
saw
saw it. Like you don't need to see like, oh, this is what happens after. It's like, well, you show me at the beginning.
So why
So
do we need to
that's
see it
cool.
again? Like we saw it. We know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen because of his.
The introduction of the movie.
But then we get to see everything leading up to it,
Mm-hmm.
and we realize and find out that Pat never really wanted to do it, and he takes his time, and then Billy is just a fucking very stubborn dude.
He's just a stubborn
Well, I mean, he
dude.
was a kid. Like, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Like, he was like literally a kid. He was like,
Yeah, like 18 or something like that. I mean, I know
Yeah.
like Chris Christopherson's kind of old. I mean, I don't want to say old, but he was like probably in his like late 20s or something when they filmed this.
Yeah.
So it's like we probably didn't pick the youngest guys, but I mean they were big at the time, so it's cool.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the age too much, but yeah, he's like a fucking big outlaw. Everybody loves Billy the Kid, so. And then yeah, just walks off into the sunset.
Yep.
And then yeah, that's I mean then then you find out like knowing all the characters that the dudes at the beginning that shot Pat Garrett were the ones that initially hired him, like the Boss Hog guy.
Yeah.
Like set those dudes to kill him. So very Red Dead Redemption 1 on that one. So I was like, oh.
It's messed up because it's just like you were an outlaw the whole time and we had no
Yeah.
intention of letting you stay sheriff.
Well, we wanted to use you.
That's fucked up.
Because it takes one to hunt one, you know.
Yeah.
Jesus. They're just rolling around. They're just like on each other, and he's just like, Jesus.
That's what it was like back in the Old West.
Yeah, you just kind of lay next to each other, and it's Jesus.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Blade. I mean, Jesus. Yeah,
I would have loved to been in Blade with him and been like, hey, do you remember when you were Pat
you ever
Garrett?
Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid, when you're just like, Jesus. Remember that? It's pretty funny.
Did they tell you to say that, or were they like
was that
make
your
sex
idea?
noises?
Yeah. Well, that's how those noises I do make when I have sex.
Oh.
Remind me to never have sex with Christ Christopherson.
Jesus.
Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that you have a bounty on your head. And there's only one place that you're going to be safe from the law. Where are they going to go?
It's going to be Mexico, partner. Actually, it's going to be projectnerd.com. Project-nerd.com. You're going to find fun, nerdy stuff there. You're going to find us. You're going to find other people with cool podcasts like ours. Probably they're going to be better podcasts than ours. So there's that.
And more. Go check it out. Project-nerd.com.
Pew pew.
Biggest gripe about this movie was it's too long. I'm okay with a long movie if you can fill it with good, useful scenes. But, like, the prostitute scene, not necessary. It's like they could have just ended it, like, taken that out, and then it would have been fine. So pretty much I just don't like that scene. But it's like, it's a little long, it's stretched out, but I like, I get that pacing. It's the Western kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest gripe. I mean, also, like, Pat didn't really do enough for being this, like, badass dude, but, like, I am understanding now talking about it, like, the guy had a lot of conflict in him, so it's like, maybe he's just like, I don't want to do anything. Cinematography was really cool. Loved the blood. Love how bright red it was. Bob Dylan did all right in acting, as did Chris Christopherson. I don't know if Chris Christopherson started out as a musician. I feel like he did. I know he's a country singer, but I don't know if he became a country singer or if he was a country singer and then became this. Either way, there's two musicians in this movie.
Yep.
Beyond the point, pretty fun. I do like Westerns. I'm an old man. I'm a sucker for Westerns. I'm going to give it 8 Bob Dylan top hats out of 10. Alias top hat, yeah.
My biggest gripe about this movie is that I didn't get to see enough violence coming out of Bob Dylan. Maybe he requested that. Yeah, I'll kill somebody, but I don't want to be like killing people the entire movie. And I know it wasn't about him, but that was so cool. It was so cool. And it was long, but that didn't really bother me. The prostitute scene was stupid. What you said, the blood was friggin' awesome. Well, it has that like cool gritty 1970s, like, for lack of better ways to say it, we don't give a shit kind of feel to it. Like, and that's like, I feel like a lot of 70s movies. Like when I think about movies from the 70s, it has that like, we're just gonna be like, we don't give a fuck. We're just gonna make just a movie, and it's gonna have what it has in it.
Yep, it's gonna be our way.
Yeah, and so. I think it was pretty damn good, actually. This was cool. And I like Westerns as well. So I will give this a 8.7 Pat Garrett's.
Pat Garrett's. Yeah, like I initially looking at this and going into it, I was like, oh boy, a Western with Chris Christopherson and Bob Dylan.
I know.
Oh, this is going to be a treat. And then, like, just that intro scene, I was like, I'm in it.
Yeah, it sucked me right in.
Yes.
I was like, whoa, okay.
Because
not
they
what I was
went hard
expecting.
on it, which
Yeah.
was cool. It's like they could have just made it a cheap, easy, just like, let's make a Western, let's pump it out. But this dude like took his time and really thought about like cool shots, like the story, like, you know, other than like long parts, it paced pretty well.
Mhm.
But yeah, like he went fucking hard on this. Like it's like
And
let's,
yeah, so I feel a little embarrassed when I say I thought this was going to be like a cheesy Western.
yeah, me too.
So sorry, Raina, and thank you, Raina, because
Thank
it's
you.
friggin' cool movie, and it surprised me.
Yeah, honestly did, and that's what I enjoyed about it most was like just the surprise in it. Like I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, minus the over the top prostitute, gross crusty pants scene. Great fucking movie. Check it out, folks. It's pretty
Definitely.
fun. It's not Brad Garrett. It's Pat Garrett
Pat Garrett
and Billy the Kid.
and Billy the Kid.
Yeah, check it out. It's a fucking fun movie. Yeah, that's all the time we have, folks. For Two Guys, One Film, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Dane.
And if I had a cowboy hat, I would tip it like so and say, "See you later, partners.
Well,
Adios."
I'll give you one.
There
You
we
know,
go.
one of those. There's two.
We're going to
Two.
hit the old dusty trail on the way, saddle up the horses, get out of Dodge.
Say adios, partner.
Adios, amigos.
Amigos.
That's how they talk in Western movies.